Hi everyone, welcome back to Mission 1820 and this week's episode of Have You Ever Wondered? If you're just joining us, we've been in a series called Books of the Bible, where we've been giving introductions into each book of the Bible in just 5 minutes or less. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to this week's book. Now, this week we're in the book of 1 Corinthians. This is the 7th book of the New Testament, and it was written by the Apostle Paul around AD 55 when he was in Ephesus during his 3rd missionary journey. Now, the book reveals the problems and the pressures. It reveals the struggles of a church that was called out of a pagan society. And that church is the church of Corinth. Now, Paul founded this church during his 2nd missionary journey around AD 51. And we know this because it was actually recorded in the book of Acts in chapter 18. Now, just a few years after Paul leaves the church, he begins hearing some disturbing reports about the Corinthian church and the lifestyle problems that they were beginning to have. Now, those problems consisted of them being full of pride and condoning sexual immorality among the Corinthian Christians. And the Apostle Paul wrote this first letter to the Corinthian church in an attempt to restore the church that he founded back to its foundation of serving Jesus Christ. Now, the book is 16 chapters, but it's a pretty easy read because Paul does take the time to make it an orderly approach in his writing. He sequentially addresses a group of problems that have come to his attention. Paul also gives us a series of perspectives on various questions and issues raised by the Corinthians in a letter. Now, the book can be divided into 3 main parts. Part 1 is what's called an answer to Chloe's reported divisions. This is in chapters 1 through 4. Part 2 is called an answer to reports of immorality. This is found in chapters 5 and 6. And then part 3 is called an answer to the letter of questions. And this is found in chapters 7 through 16. Now, to better understand this, 1 Corinthians addresses reports that Paul received from Chloe's household, as well as a letter that he received from the Corinthian church itself. Now, in this letter to the church at Corinth, Paul covers a number of different issues that were related to both life and doctrine. He was covering divisions and quarrels among the church, sexual immorality. He was talking about lawsuits among believers, but he also included a profound teaching on the resurrection in chapter 15. The Apostle Paul expected that Christian people would live according to Christian ideals, or as he told them by quoting chapter 6, verse 20, when he says, "You've been bought with a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body." So why is this book important for us to read? Well, 1 Corinthians contributes greatly to our own understanding of the Christian life, the ministry, and the relationships by showing us how the members of the church, which is Christ's body, are to function together. 1 Corinthians gave specific solutions to very specific problems, but the underlying answer to all of these is for the church and its members to live Christ-centered lives, and it all comes down to living under the lordship and authority of Jesus Christ, who is the head of the church. You see, we must all live Christ-centered, blameless, and loving lives that makes a difference for God. So as you're reading the book of 1 Corinthians, begin to examine your own values in light of complete commitment to Christ. So with that, I hope this introduction is going to give you a nice start to the book of 1 Corinthians. So God bless, and thanks for watching.